everyone. I hope you're doing okay. You had a good sleep and you're fully rested. It was a long day yesterday, so I'm going to take it fairly easy today. I've probably overdone my my hours this week, and I've also satisfied my profit target because the S&P. The S&P did really well, and I was saying to everyone it was going to be a buy. Hopefully, you took the advice. It was quite clearly going to be a buy. Back here on the FXCM, if we zoom out, so we had a buy signal there, and then we had another one here. So hopefully you guys have got a copy of this trading station. If you haven't, then you're sort of missing out a little bit. So do get a copy of this. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's really powerful. I think maybe we might be like a hangover day where we might have a little bit of a sell-off just to resume like normal behaviour. We did rally, it's like a face melt rally, but on the fundamental side of things, we've got Ukraine, Russia, peace deal, China, stimulus spending, Powell was reassuring, and so fundamentally it might be okay. We are a static sell, we're above 50%, but if we tick down, which it looks like we are, we're going to be a buy. So if you're long this instrument, which is something I'd recommend that you were, you'd want this to tick down and cross the 21 moving average. If it does, we're going to go back into green territory. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Hopefully you guys made some money this week. FX was very tricky. Anything that I did with FX, it was quite chaotic and it was troublesome. Where the indices, the S&P, it was easy. All right, that was easy money. That was FX was difficult. So I think it's because it's just so much fundamental stuff going on. So just a quick look at the bubbles. Pound strong buy, actually strongest buy on the dynamic, and Swiss franc is the weakest. Yen is also weak as well. Just in case you're wondering why it's getting dumped on, it's because the retail guys are quite long yen. So pound yen could be potentially good, but we've got the BOE today, an interest rate hike with. It's pretty much locked in, so we're gonna hike from 0.5 to 0.75, and that puts us back where we were pre-COVID. I think we were here pre-COVID, and so we're back. It's sort of like that's quite a reassuring thing that we're back there again. So we'll see what happens. So it might be bullish pound. Keep an eye on your pound crosses. It can fluctuate a lot, and we've got the press conference as well. All right, so let's quickly look at some charts. I've got new indicators just to tell you supply and demand. Just it does the wicks. It's quite simple, really. So we'll look at pound. I suppose we'll look at pound crosses, and I'll show you the SLCs as well. If it loads, yeah. So it's interesting that the SLC is right there. So they're looking at that wick. So that's where their SLC is, but it's where they're going to get stopped out. 131.95, so 25 pips away. One below is 129.80. We are a sell, but the MyFX book guys are selling. The orange line. This is what we use the spreadsheet data for. So them selling is this effectively. Okay, so it's quite good. We can see this in the graphical representation of that line. So they're selling it, so we should come up. So they sold it here. Pretty much they started to sell it, and then the price comes up. So if it continues, we'll carry on higher. Okay, pound yen. I don't know, we'll maybe look at the euro perhaps. So the pound yen, if we zoom out, we've got some we've got resistance up here, some supply on these wicks. That's how it's calculated it. So we've got quite a bit of resistance overhead. Bubbles are indicating a buy. There's a high level sentiment that's saying buy. The MyFX book guys have really shorted it. They crossed the 50% line here. 153. This is a big move. 340 pip move, so technically we might struggle. Sentimentally we're actually okay, so yeah, it's tricky. There's the pound Swiss as well. Pound the strongest, Swiss is the weakest, and go back here. what can we see? Right, So that's that, right? Maybe look at the euro, look at dollar yen, and then maybe just stop the video. It doesn't have to be a long video. I want to keep them short anyway. So resistance, we've got some supply. This is a big candle wick here. One above, 110.55. So we're 23 pips away. One below is at 108.95. We are a sell sideways. Let's look at UJ. UJ has overextended. Says MR3. So we really shouldn't be above MR3. We've really squeezed the retail guys. They are 7% long. So the shorts got they got squished. There's not really many shorts left. So you could argue we're probably coming to the end of the journey momentarily until we come down a little bit, because we've really overextended somewhat, and I think we've exhausted these guys. So there's no one else to sort of muck around with, and they've exhausted their capital. If they're out completely, there isn't really much need to push price higher if there's no one else to squeeze. So the one above, which coincides, that wick, 119.10 and 118.53. Little tip with this supply and demand indicator is if you go here, you can do narrow bands, which is what I use. It's a bit cleaner. If you do the default setting, it looks a bit different. This isn't a good example, but what I would do is do the narrow band. It looks a bit cleaner, and that's that. So yeah, let me know if you need me to help you at all. I won't mind at all. And I think the S&P is the way to go, I think, to buy dips. So perhaps around about here, 43.02, this area here could be a good buy zone. We did hit some resistance, as you can see. So we've got MA cross here. So maybe FX is just going to be a bit tricky today. Tomorrow it might be easier next week, and I think indices are a little bit easier. There was certainly a breeze this week compared to FX. FX was like being in the washing machine. This was almost like being on the beach. It was quite easy, especially if you use the FXium trading station. Because what you can do, you can just set your trade, and then you can go and do something else, and you don't get stopped out at break even. With FX, it comes down in zigzags and takes you out. This just has it's smoother. So hopefully FX isn't so volatile next week, but we'll have to wait and see. And maybe we'll get some resolution from the Russia-Ukraine crisis, which would be awesome for everyone in the world. So hopefully that gets resolved. Have a good day, and just let me know if you need any help. And I'm going to be taking it easy tomorrow. I'll be doing the bulletin, but then I'll be taking the rest of the day off.